Good morning, Dwayne here, Dry Creek Wrangler School. Haven't had a video on in a bit, and we're due one. So we're in the middle of school here. We're the third week of class, and so fixing to do a session with the guys here on saddlebags. And so Mama said we need a video, and so she hit me on the back of the head with a stick and said we're going to do a video. So here I am, because my head hurts. So anyhow, I'm gonna go ahead and talk to these guys, and you guys can just sit in and listen and maybe get something from it. All right. So what I have here, we have Tony's one of the students here. He's got Tony brought his saddle, and Tony brought his saddlebags. And so he asked me about mounting the bags on the saddle. Now, so first thing we got to do is we got to check to see if these saddle strings, Tony, if these line up with the holes that are drilled in your bag, right there. All right. And if they're fairly close, then that's good enough. So you got two different, and they are. These will work fine. So you got two different ways, two different approaches. Now what you can do is you can just run these strings. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to drill, probably stamp, or maybe not, drill these holes out a little bit bigger because they're not very big. Yeah, so you'll want to make these holes a little bigger. And I'll show you on this saddle, and we'll talk about this. So you can just drill those holes in your bag out a little bigger and just put them up through here. Now that's the most common way of doing it, all right? Now you're talking about possibly going out west and actually getting a job wrangling. You're gonna use your saddlebags. I see that fit there just fine. So you can just come in here and just tie these. So you're just gonna tie them. And if you just tie them on, then if you got a rainy day, you got your strings left over, you tie both sides. If you got a rainy day, then you can just take this and tie your slicker on. And but then if you need your slicker and you untie your slicker, your saddlebags stay on, okay? So that'll work with yours, your holes line up, and you can do that. The other way you can do it, and I'm just going to tell you up front, with your saddlebags, with larger saddlebags, I wouldn't do it, okay? I did it with these, and we'll show that. We'll talk about that. Let's see if I can get this undone. Is you can permanently, and nothing is permanent, but you can permanently mount your saddlebags on your saddle. And the way you would do that is you would come in here, and these, you see how these are knotted here? Okay, that's called a blood knot. And so what you would do is you would undo this blood knot. We'll put it back. Wasn't planning on doing this. I didn't grab a tool for it, but a hoof pick ought to work. So you can undo the blood knot and take your strings apart. Now in here you got two nails. So you pry those two nails and take these two conchos off, all right? And then you'll put your saddlebags over the strings like you normally would, put these conchos back on, and then tie your blood knot back on, all right? So if you look at these bags are the ones that I put on when I was ranching in Colorado. And that's what I did. These are permanently attached. So I undid the blood knot and pulled the rosettes, the leather rosettes off, measured and drilled the holes so they were where they're supposed to be, slid the bags on first, and then reattached all this. I put the nailed the conchos back, the rosettes back down. Now, if you got just little day bags, this is fine, because this is like we're going out working for today. There's a water bottle and a granola bar on one side and a pair of gloves in the other, or I need a place to stick my phone. But when you're using full-size saddlebags and you're going to be gone all day, you're in colder weather and you need more stuff, it's just a matter of convenience. The inconvenience of permanently attaching your saddlebags of this size, using them like you would in Wyoming, is that you have to haul everything out. I got them on backwards. You got to haul everything out and put them in your saddlebags. Where if your saddlebags are where you can just untie the strings and pull them off, then you can take them in the house, you can load them, you can kind of balance, make sure they're balanced about right, and then attach them back to your saddle. Okay? So I've got about 4 pairs of saddlebags. See, these are yours. Now when you get saddlebags, you can get them like this. Now this is regular top grain leather. It's not exactly as thick as what they're using to build the saddle, but it's tan the same way, okay? And so that's why they have this rigidity. They have the rigidness about them. I did a video several months ago on saddlebags, and I talked about my preference for triple K saddlebags. And then when I did the video out here about how to load your saddlebags, I used these. Now these have a single hole, a single grommet, and it's actually not as handy, but you can run both strings up through here. And tie them on. But these never come out right, and so I always wind up punching my own holes in it and tying them on. I like these saddlebags. This is tan different. This is Latigo leather, so it has more flexibility. All right, so you can find some like that. So you got different of what they're made out of. A lot of people use like Cordura bags like this one, and there's nothing wrong with Cordura bags, okay? Nothing at all. So these actually have a hard plastic liner inside, waterproof liner, and so people will put some ice and some cold drinks in there, and then it won't leak and come out. They have the pouch, you know, for your cell phone or whatever. I got these. I was in North Carolina, and all of a sudden we went on a 3-day ride, and went camped out, went on a ride for 3 days, and for whatever reason, I didn't have a decent set of saddlebags. They had wound up, some of mine had wound up, my boys had some of them, and so when I pulled up, I realized I didn't have any, and in the shop, they had these, and I got them to get by it, and they work fine, but like for rough, they just won't hold up as long as leather will in rough gear. But you know, people like to be organized, and they got all the pockets for organizing and everything these days. The other option that you have is horn bags. Now these belong to Chip, and the horn bag is exactly as it sounds. So these are made out of Cordura, and they have pockets and stuff in them. And so the horn bag literally goes over the horn. And so you got what you need up there in front of you. All right, I think I need to turn that around. There you go. And so you got what you need right there. You got water bottle holders, pocket for your cell phone. If you got medicine, if you need to keep your medicine handy, you know, keys to your car, whatever. Some people, they do that. Nothing wrong with that. I don't use horn bags myself, just because of the way I ride with my reins and everything. To me, they're just always getting in my way. But the advantage of horn bags over saddlebags is, and I've talked about this before, I've seen people take really large Gore-Tex saddlebags, bigger ones. I saw some down here at the co-op yesterday, big square Cordura saddlebags, and I've watched them take them, lay them out like that, and fill the pockets full of ice and a 12-pack of beer and a bag of ice. All right? There's a lot of things wrong with that. But one of the things that's not least is the weight. And so underneath here on your horse are the horse's kidneys. And you get too much weight back here. If you carry too much weight in your saddlebags, and then you add your weight, and especially if you don't ride right, you'll get back and your horse will be peeing blood. You'll bruise those kidneys. All right. So people, when they get their saddlebags are too big, then they put too much stuff in them and they put them in the back over the horse's kidneys, especially long rides in back country. So one of the advantages of a pommel bag is you get that weight off your horse's kidneys and you get it up over their shoulders where they carry the weight better. So if you're going like 2 or 3 days in the back country and you're carrying everything on your horse, get as much as the heavy stuff as you can forward. So that is an advantage of this. So if you're carrying a rifle, carry northwest, all right, carry forward and down so your rifle's up front. If you're going to have like, some clothing and toilet paper stuff, some lightweight stuff, put that on the back, and then your slicker, and then put your coffee thermos and your heavier stuff, maybe carry that on the front. So if you're going to balance out your load, don't have too much weight on the back of your saddle. That's not ideal. That's not good. So that's that. I feel like I'm forgetting something. I guess that's it. Any questions? Yeah.
Yours is permanently mounted on there.
Yeah.
So say you're going out for 2 or 3 days, so you need to take some extra clothes or something.
Right. So
I put bigger saddlebags over your.
I will take these off. Yeah. And I'm eventually going to do that anyhow. These are really nice bags. I mean, I really like these bags. They're well made and they weren't cheap. But I will eventually take these off and start using these.
Could you actually just put those over that?
I could. I mean, I did it and checked it, but they just stick out here,
For like a temporary.
Yeah.
You can do it all the time.
Yeah, I could. But it's just me, and you guys have been around enough to know me that I like my gear. I like everything clean, and I don't mean clean, free of dirt, which I like that too, but I just like everything to be concise and proper, and I just don't like stuff sticking out and flopping around and carrying on. It's always, the more stuff you have, the further out you are, the further you're hanging down. That's just more stuff to snag. It's just something else to create a problem. Now you were asking me, let's see, I don't have any in there. Let's see if I got anything in here. You were asking me about mounting these on your saddle. Get these off. So if you just get if you mount these on here, if you'll just get a short piece of string like that, okay, and don't have to be near that heavy, and fold it and put it through there. I need a piece of string that's free and loose. We have a piece of string. I don't have one. Okay, anyhow, if you fold it and then take the ends and fold the ends back through it and put it on here, right there, and then you'll tie that to your back saddle ring. You were asking about keeping this from flopping.
Right.
So you'll just take a piece of string and tie it on that, and either tie it to your back cinch, tie it right here, or tie it up here, whatever fits best and works best for you. And that's what keeps that from flapping there. When you start using saddlebags, if you've got a new horse, put the saddlebags on your horse at home, saddle your horse, put the saddlebags on, and then start lunging him around a little bit, get him moving, get him up in the trot. Let those things flap a little bit. Let him get used to them at home with you on the ground, instead of for the first time putting him on the trail and getting in the saddle and headed down. And he spooks and jumps, and something he's not used to, never seen before, flops on his back end, and then it's NFR. I mean, it's a rodeo. And I'll throw this in for free. I talked about, we talked earlier, so if you've got the strings up through here and you got it just tied off, you can roll your slicker up and put your slicker on. If it starts raining, you can untie your slicker, all right, and put your slicker on. Until you know your horse, until you know that you know your horse, stop and get down and put your slicker on and get back on the horse. So the convenient thing we think is to reach around, and I do it all the time on horses that I know. Reach around, untie the slicker, pull it off. Of course, it's rolled up. Unroll it, swing it around, put it on. That's a horse-eating booger for a horse that's never been introduced to that before. I was in North Carolina again, and I was riding a little Mustang. I was working, and it's just, I had one of those dirt moments, you know, the sky opened up and it started raining, and I reached around. I've been riding Boone for years, horses like that. I reached around, untied that slicker, pulled it off, grabbed that collar and went, and that horse went, I mean, he was gone. He was sideways, and I stayed on him. But I mean, he's like, no, we ain't having that. So we had to stop, and, you know, I had to apologize and had to work things out. Stuff hanging on your saddle, it's practical and it's convenient and it's helpful and it's good, but it's not natural for the horse. Okay, so always think of your horse. Think of your horse. You get a young horse that's just not used to stuff, okay, like your horse, all right? Now, your horse, you've been around riding your horse a little bit. She might be all right with it, but just, I mean, stop and think, you know what, I'm on a pack, so in this side, I'm going to put a tin can of Campbell's soup, and I'm going to need something to drink, so I'm going to put a tin cup and a spoon. Drop in this side, then I'm going to put whatever on this side, and you got all that metal all of a sudden back here she's not used to, hadn't heard before. She gets to moving around, and all that metal starts rattling in that saddlebag, and might be an issue. Might want to introduce that to her before you get out on the trail. Okay? Any questions on that? All right. Well, that was a really short, easy session because it's a really easy subject. But we'll work, once we're done here, we'll work. I think I've got the tools, and we'll measure and get those holes bored out and get those strings through and make sure we can get this mounted on your saddle. Okay?
Good.
All right, I'm going to go back to class. Nope, class is over. I'm going to sit down and get me a cold drink. It's hot out here, and we'll catch you guys later.